Our speaker today is a former member of the House of Representatives in the state of Maine, where he was born. He has been a Rotary Club member for 31 years and has 31 years of perfect attendance. Not very many people can say that. He was a charter member of the Tulsa Sunrise Rotary Club and also a past president of that club. He is a Paul Harris Fellow. He was a Rotary District 6110 ambassador. He was assistant governor from 1995 to 1999. He has been a 6110 Rotarian of the Year, and he currently serves as Director of Operations for the Medical Supply Network. If you would, please welcome our speaker today, Larry Biron.
If this computer is not working, it's not going to work, so don't worry about it, because I can't fix it. But I think we're in good shape. Happy to be here in Muskogee. I see a lot of friendly faces. I see a lot of new faces. Rotary is an adventure, and for those of you who just joined Rotary, I think you're going to realize that you're going to get out of this organization what you're willing to put in it. And I go back to the years when I joined Rotary and I was sitting in those chairs the first years. And one of the funniest things that happened to me was that in those days, everybody had pagers. You know, nobody had cell phones, we all had pagers. And I went to the first meeting and everybody had a pager and I didn't have one. So the following meeting, I attended it and I wore my garage door opener. And I just wanted to fit in. But I think you'll find that you'll fit in with this organization no matter what you want to do. After being a Rotary for a while, I found myself interested in international service, because that's one of the areas that we as Rotarians are proud and that we do a lot of work in. And those of you who've heard this presentation before, I apologize. I hope that if you don't fall asleep, don't snore too loud, so those who haven't heard it. But I'm going to talk to you about a project called the Medical Supply Network. Now that's a project that was started by an individual by the name of Jack Maxwell. And he was a Rotarian just like each one of you, and he still is. But simply made a trip overseas and saw a need, brought it back and recruited people like yourself, like myself, to participate in this effort. Well, from those humble beginnings, today, District 6110, which is the district that you now all belong to, ships more humanitarian aid than any Rotary district in the world. Okay, now keep that in mind. Now, we have Rotarians all around the world. We're the largest organization in the world. And many Rotary clubs do humanitarian aid service. But we're the only district that I know of that constantly, for the past 21 years, has continued this effort year after year after year. And therefore, we've been able to have the impact that we do. There are a lot of tremendous projects in Rotary. We have the well drilling project that's done by Rotary Club of Tulsa with the help of Rotary clubs all over the district. We have this project. We're currently working in a project in Belize to make sure that we purify the drinking water for the whole population of that country. So there are a lot of avenues, a lot of service avenues available. But the one that's closest to my heart is the Medical Supply Network. And I just wanted to show you a little bit about how we operate and what we do. Okay, the first gentleman you see with the ball cap, that's Jack Maxwell. Jack is the founder. That's the guy I talked about who went to the Philippines, came back, saw a need. And the gentleman next to him is Dr. Medina. He's a past member of our board of directors, a retired heart physician. And we did a project for him in Ecuador, and some of the things that you see behind the doctor and Jack are items that we shipped. This is our small warehouse in Tulsa. There are 2 buildings. There's one obviously directly behind it. These buildings we now own. When we started the project, we used donated space. The problem with donated space is people want it back. And especially after you've gone in and cleaned it up and made sure that the electricity works and the doors work, all of a sudden it's very rentable property. So we had to make a decision that we had to get, if we were going to do this in a serious way, we would have to have our own facility. So about 1997, 98, we purchased this building and the building behind it and the land that goes with it. We invested $186,000 and we had $36 in the checkbook. Happy to say that in 2 years we paid that investment off completely. So that investment that we made now serves the district with a headquarters to ship humanitarian aid, which we do every month. Every month we send a 40-foot container somewhere in the world. We have now shipped 181 containers to 37 different countries. That's the back of our warehouse. We have a trailer there that's full of excess equipment. That old truck is no longer with us. But everything you see in this presentation, including that sign, was given to us, donated to us. That particular sign I found on the side of the road, so if it's yours, I've got it. That's just my office area. That's a little conference room, and if you came there today, you see all the flags along the top. They represent places that we've either shipped, places that I've had the opportunity to go to, or people that have visited our warehouse to learn about our project and what we're doing. That flag room continues to grow. It's one of the few places in Rotary where our flags can be displayed. I'm sure you have flags in your club, people travel, and we exchange flags all the time, but it's very hard to display them. Where we have our own building, we can do that. This is our forklift, and the forklift has its own interesting story because when we started, we didn't have money to buy a forklift. So when it was donated to us, it did have its problems. It required 3 operators. One guy would actually run the forklift, one guy would pick up the oil, and one guy would blow out the smoke. So we were able to change that by buying our own forklift. And all of these purchases have been made through the help of Rotarians and foundations that believe in what we're doing. And I'll be talking about that a little bit later on. This is typically how the equipment comes in. It doesn't necessarily come to us in an 18-wheeler. We have 81 Rotary clubs in the district. This is their international service project, many of them. So they pick up things in their community and fellow Rotarians drive them to Tulsa. They come just in a pickup truck. This is the pile. The pile is what's been given to us. We never know from day to day, from week to week, what is going to be donated to us. Unlike a normal business where you receive something, you get an invoice and it tells you what you received. Here we get boxes and we have no idea what's in the boxes. So we have to do a lot of work to go through all of this. Now you also see bags in the back. Those are bags of linen that are an important part of what we do. This is small equipment. Now, those of you who have the opportunity to travel internationally realize that our electrical current in this country doesn't match up with a lot of the world. So how Rotarians in other parts of the world participate in our project, not only are they our consignees or the recipients of what we're shipping, but they have a responsibility of converting anything that we send to make sure it works in their country. So that's part of their responsibility. And all this equipment is checked out before it goes out. What you see here is just a storage cabinet, but that storage cabinet is extremely important because a lot of the EKG machines, a lot of the testing type machines have got a paper readout on them. And if you don't have the paper readout, they really don't do their job as they should. So when we ship something somewhere, we always include the proper amount of supplies to make it work for a period of time. This is our inventory sheet, and this is what Rotarians fill out every day or every weekend primarily. But we do have people that come in during the week. And we identify the content of each one of these boxes that I talked about that were in the pile. We have a color coding system set up where we can, anything that is surgical, we put in a red color, etc. Yellow is urology. I picked all the colors. I thought yellow was appropriate. But anyway, we now have a situation where no matter where we ship in the world, not everyone reads English, but everyone understands color. So if it's red, they know it's a surgical item. That's how the color code is used. This is a list of what you have to do when you're working, but believe me, it's not that extensive as far as time consuming. This is a local Rotarian going through a box, identifying the content. More of the same. Again, a box is being completed and inventoried. People working on Saturday morning, and this is what Daryl is asking you to participate in if you can come in on a Saturday morning, because we don't put the workload on any one club. We share this workload equally. And more of the same. Everything is weighed as we do it, so when someone orders something, especially a container, by simply pushing a button on our computer, we can tell you exactly what it weighs because we've gone through the process of weighing each box individually. This is basically our finished product, our product that's ready to go out. Everything has its own number, it's categorized by color, and the yellow sheet on front of there is what the inventory is in that particular box. We use a 3-part form. The original goes to the office, the yellow is removed when it's ordered, and the pink copy stays with the product all the way through. This is some of the equipment that we get. Because we are getting used equipment does not mean that it's not good equipment. Here's a C-arm in the front here that was donated to us. Absolutely nothing wrong with it, but the hospital who had it upgraded their equipment. They bought a C-arm that had 2 monitors. This one has only 1 monitor. So they donated it to us. In the back of dental chairs, I think it was in the Springdale area, there was a dental school that closed, and they gave us all of their equipment. So it doesn't necessarily, now this is from the back here, you look at operating room tables, scales, baby scales, gurneys, you name it, during the past 21 years, we've seen it and we've shipped it. These are anesthesia machines, and I believe they came from Muskogee. I'm not sure, but I think that your area provided those. I'm almost sure they did. These beds, this is a small portion of what was donated. In Wichita, Kansas, there's a veterans hospital, 127-bed hospital, and they upgraded their rooms. So it means they came in with electric beds instead of manual beds. And they gave us the bedside tables and the beds and everything that was in each room. So around the world, these manual beds are far more valuable than electric beds because they don't have all the plug-ins. So it's a blessing when people give us something like that. Here's an incubator that was shipped. These are fellow Rotarians that I still have a dark mustache there. I must have been pretty young. But this is, in the back there, wheelchairs. We also have a wheelchair project for those of you who aren't familiar with what we do, but we actually provide wheelchairs for people all around the world through a wheelchair foundation. And we did buy a whole container of those and brought them to our warehouse. So when we were shipping our other containers with other equipment, we were including wheelchairs in the same shipment. This is our finished inventory that we actually email to our recipients. And this is a container that's ready to go. We can put, you see the pallet in the front there, that's roughly 4 by 4 by 7 foot tall. we can put 20 of those in any one container. And there's always been a question as to how do you value what we do in this project? Well, we made a determination many, many years ago that we would value it at $10 a pound. We knew that that would be a low number, but it'd be impossible for us to research every item that's donated to us to see what it really costs. But I have a daughter whose job is the purchasing manager at St. Francis Hospital. So I called her one day, and they had called me and they said they had a pallet load of stuff to donate, and would come pick it up. So I called her and I says, can you do me a favor? And every time I say that, she says, what do you want this time? But anyway, I says, would you find a way to inventory and find a cost on what you're giving us? I know it's one pallet. Well, she researched every item on one pallet. And the bottom line of the real cost to the hospital, not to the patient, but to the hospital, for what they gave us on that one pallet was $70,565. So when we value a container at $10 a pound, and we may have an $80,000 value, that in actuality could be the cost of one of those pallets. So you can imagine the real value of what we're shipping. This is how the containers go out. We get a flatbed truck comes in with a sea container on it. They back up to our back door, and we load everything up from there. In the front there, you'll see my dog Panther. Those of you who know me, she's been with me years and years. The only female that ever listened to me, so I keep her. But we are now taking what was put aside and inventory and putting them directly into that sea container van. That van will make it all the way to its final destination. In the front there, you'll also see that it's not a pallet, but it's actually a gurney. So, we're shipping gurneys, so we try to utilize the space as much as possible. We'll load boxes on top of the gurney, so we get as much floor space as we can. This is one of the gurneys being loaded in. Now, this is Ecuador. Everything you're going to see here in the next few slides, the Rotarians in Ecuador built a clinic. They had nothing in it. And we provided all of what you see to make that an up-to-date clinic in that country. This is our ambassadorial program I talked about earlier, about how we raise our money to make this thing work. There are basically two ways. One is, on your table, we have an annual car raffle. And people can participate, clubs can participate. Matter of fact, the winner last year was a club. And if they win, they get money and they can use in their community. If an individual wins, they have a choice between the car and money, whatever they want to do. But that's one of the ways we raise money to make our organization work. We've been doing it now for 8 years. The other way is through our ambassadorship program. The ambassadorship program is exactly like the Paul Harris program. For those of you new members, the Paul Harris program is run by the Rotary Foundation, and it's a way to support the Rotary Foundation in its efforts. And Paul Harris was the founder of Rotary International, of Rotary. We have our ambassador program because we recognize people not only for the work that they do for our project, but for financial contributions. So these people represent people that have supported us, that made our building possible, that made the forklift possible, and continue to support us for our daily operating costs. Our project cost is approximately, if you tie in all of the cost of shipping, is about $250,000 a year. And we've never been in the red. But it's an effort to make sure that we raise the money, because over $100,000 of the money that we need is to pay shipping costs. Because everything we do is free. What the Rotarians do at the other end is free, but the shipping companies are not free. So an average container could cost $8,000. So if you do 12 a year, you're at $100,000 in no time at all. So that's how that works. This is the pin that a person receives when they become an ambassador. So as you travel the district and you see people wearing the special pin, you recognize that the only people that have it are people who have supported MSNI financially or by the work they've done to support our organization and its efforts. This is the little certificate you receive with the embarrassment. Now, these are countries that we have shipped to, and I'm going to just open it up for questions because I'll keep hitting this because you'll see that there are, and this needs to be updated, but you can see all the various countries and how many containers went to each one of those countries. Does anyone have any questions at this time as to how we do things? And no one at all? Yes, sir.
In one of those containers, do you normally ship to one person, or do you divide them between a couple places at a time?
Okay, that's part of the uniqueness of what we do, because our consignee is not a hospital, it's not a dental organization, it's the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club at the other end receives our inventory prior to receiving the container. They'll have a committee sit down and take every item in the container and put it where it belongs in the community. And that's where all of these inventory numbers come in handy, because every box is numbered accordingly. So when the container comes in, they look at the box number and they know it's going to this facility. So no matter what we have in the warehouse, there's always somebody that can use it someplace else. Yes, sir.
Larry, you might mention that not everything we do is overseas.
Oh, no. Yeah, right. The Medical Supply Network is the only 501c3 in the district. For those of you, acronyms, but basically we are a nonprofit and we have our own nonprofit status. So therefore, contributions made through MSNI are tax deductible. Unlike a lot of Rotary clubs who are charitable organizations but not nonprofits. So therefore, tax donations are not. So when there are tragedies that happen, example, a few years ago, Joplin, okay, what happened there? Rotarians pulled together not only to provide equipment, but also financial aid. So we use the Medical Supply Network as a conduit for all these contributions, and then we move them on to those people. Now, in addition to that, we also have equipment that's donated to us that sometimes is needed by the nonprofits in the communities that we serve. So when that becomes a need and we're notified and we have it. Now, don't get us wrong, we're not a storing and warehouse. We don't receive stuff and put it on the wall and wait for somebody to order it. Every 30 days, we basically empty the warehouse because it comes in, it's inventory, goes out the other door, and as it's going out the other door, more stuff is coming in. We will never run out of stuff in our district. Never. Believe me. Matter of fact, when I leave here today, I'm going to go to your local hospital and we're going to pick up some more stuff from this hospital. But you can imagine how many medical facilities there are all over the district, how many doctor's offices. We receive stuff from individuals, walkers and canes. Probably most of you have got one or two in your closet now that you'll never use. Bring them down to Tulsa, we'll use them for you. Any other questions? Okay, well, yes.
I'm kind of disappointed because I already have something on my calendar for May 18th, but I just want to tell everybody that hasn't been to this place, it really is a fun experience to go there and volunteer and work through this stuff. I know the last time we went, we were going through these boxes that you open and you don't know what they are. Yeah. And we had a good time going. We had a good time trying to figure out what some of the stuff was.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect it because I'm not a detail guy, but we had lots of layouts and
it's a fun experience, so I hope more of our members will go this time.
Yeah, it's not, and that's really the beauty of our project. If let's assume that this project was here in Muskogee, and you did not have the support of Tulsa or Wagner or anyone else, this project would fail because you can't use the same people all the time. This is a volunteer organization, and we can't have people working every Saturday in the project. So the beauty of this is we share the load amongst all those that are within geographic riding distance to Tulsa. So we ask Muskogee maybe to come in once or twice a year. And that's your contribution. You do the sorting the same way that the other club the following weekend will be doing it, but they'll be from another part. They could be from the Tulsa area. We have right now we have about 17 clubs that are within the geographic area of the warehouse that are suitable to drive in, you know, from Bartlesville and all the way down here. So these clubs do come in. Some of them only come in once or twice a year. Some of them come in every quarter. The Tulsa clubs, they have people coming in every quarter. So that way we can fill the whole year. And in addition to that, part of our operating budget, not only with the fundraising that we do, is that the $7 of your dues that you pay to the district helps with this project. So the money is, you know, it's being spread amongst a lot of people. And that's the success of the project. And that's why we've been able to do what we've done. Not because of an individual, not because of anything other than collectively we've been able to do this and really change the lives of people around the world with things that, quite frankly, if we wouldn't have done this, would have been destroyed or put in storage. Hospitals have a tendency of putting up storage buildings and putting stuff in it, and in about 10 years after they've paid storage for 10 years, they throw it away. So we want to get to them before they put it in storage so we can put it in the hands of people that can really use it. Any other questions?
Well, Larry, this one may comment because we had to change that tier. Christina Dalisheimer was going to be one of our people most involved in that. She's the PR person there at the hospital. She's out here at the end of this month, off in North Carolina. Okay? I was hoping to try to get a hold of Fred after he retired to see if he might be interested because he's a retired surgeon. He knows all about facilities down. He's running around more retired than he was when he worked.
I called him, he said he would help all he could.
Doc Thomas was going to be our chair, but Doc Thomas worked for the State Department, and he's been in Liberia more than he's been here. So we really could use a team, a committee with a chair to work this because we just now begin to get some serious connections with East Star. They're kind of connected with what we're doing now, so they're not putting in their storage building. Bob Coburn says, I've got places for you to put stuff if we need to put it till we get it up there. We've got everything except we need a team of people that wouldn't mind getting out for a few minutes here and a few minutes there and getting into these medical offices, medical providers, and say, we've got a deal to take your stuff instead of you going in the trash. That's the part that we need to step up on as a club.
Thank you. And the last thing I need to do here while I'm here is it's my privilege to recognize one of your members as the newest ambassador in our medical supply network, and that's Daryl Ward. Come on. Send me 2 8x10. Keep in mind that this ambassadorship, like the Paul Harris Fellow, doesn't require a lot of work, but you do have to have a pen and a checkbook. Thank you.